Welcome back to the Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast. And in case you're just joining us, you're listening to the Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast with Emmy, Hikins and Trevor.
Right stage of sleep at the beginning of the four stages, the four phases, and they've actually not remembered that that's actually what has happened. So yes, the four stages, 4 or 5 times those cycles go through the night. And another thing that happens in our sleep, I don't know whether you've experienced it, either of you, but that sudden sense, you dropped off to sleep, or almost, and you suddenly fall. There's a sense of dropping, you fall. And it's quite uncomfortable, really. You say, God, what happened there? Why did you sort of jerk very suddenly? And again, researchers think that goes back to early times when humans, sounds ridiculous, but had to sleep in trees to avoid predators and things like that. And to make sure the brain, as you said, the brain is incredible, was keeping them safe from falling off of the branches. And that jerking is called, I think it's hypnic myoclonic jerking, where we have that sudden sense of dropping. And I think an interesting fact with that, when you think about it, whether it's a legacy from those times, but we never, I think it's fair to say, we almost never fall out of bed. Now, we may say, well, that's fair enough. Unless someone is drunk or on something else that you just don't know what you're doing. But generally, our brain keeps us safe from falling off the edge of the bed. And you may say, well, we get to know the bed. But if you think about it, you can go and stay in a hotel, you can stay at family's house, friend's house. We don't fall out of beds, even if it's a much narrower bed than we're used to, or a much bigger bed or whatever. So there's something in the way that evolution perhaps keeps us safe in terms of falling, because we're unconscious. We're unconscious, we're paralyzed. So again, it all helps to keep us safe while we are unconscious. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, sorry, it was just a moot point on what you were saying there. I was literally just about to say maybe that is the evolutionary process as to why you go through that stage of paralysis, is to keep, like you said, when you're up in trees, hiding from predators. Because if you notice, infants, they tend to fall out of bed. But adults tend not to, and obviously we've had more time to adapt to our sleeping patterns, our routines, to the paralysis of going to sleep. I think something else that's quite interesting that is probably worth maybe another episode on is mostly when you wake up from a dream, especially if you've had a dream interrupted, you struggle to remember it. Following back to something that I mentioned earlier when you mentioned brainwaves, and so obviously Nikola Tesla was not in any way a neuroscientist. In fact, he weren't a scientist at all by any means. Most people would argue that he was only an engineer. I think he's probably one of the greatest scientists to ever walk the face of the earth. That's my opinion. But he says if you want to understand the universe, think energy, frequency and vibrations. And what are brainwaves? It's energy, it's frequency, it's vibrations. And if you can think in the likes of energy, frequency and vibrations, then almost anything is possible, really.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah, it's a fascinating subject, if only in the sense that there's never been an explanation why we need it. We do need it. We die if we're deprived of sleep, but we don't ever really need it.
We're going to take a short break now. We're back shortly. You've been listening to the Alien Spaceship Talk Show with Trevor and Emmy Hikins. The Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast is looking for sponsors. If you're a company out there looking to spread the word about the products and services you provide, please get in touch with Deepstuff Radio Podcast on info@deepstuffrecords.com, or to use the contact form on our website to contact us, please visit radio.deepstuffrecords.com. Also, if you're looking to get involved on the Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast, reach out via our Deepstuff Radio Facebook page. Thank you.